Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Do what you gotta do. Show the magic, show the love. Thank you for coming back. If you're new, thank you for checking this out. This is part of a series of videos that I do for my podcast. So I have a podcast called Black Hole Sun, and I do a thing called an afterthought. So if there was anything I forgot or anything that later on I was like, you know what, that didn't make any sense, let me look that up again, or maybe I got new information. So you come here for the afterthought. In the description below or above, depending on how you're looking at this, I have the link to the podcast I'm going to talk about for this episode, as well as the podcast for the next episode. So for this one, we're going to be talking about writer Edgar Allan Poe, who is, if you know anything about horror, if you know anything about detective series, he is basically one of the founding fathers of, modern detective series, as well as horror and mostly detective. He is the reason why we have detective series. Did you know that? I didn't know that until I started doing my homework. That he is the reason why we have detective series, and he made short stories in vogue, but a lot of his stuff is very dark and sad and just kind of morbid. And so I wanted to learn more about the guy behind all these stories, the guy behind The Raven, which is one of my favorite poems. And what I found out is he was a sad, dark, morbid human being from the get-go. He was born in the 1800s, early 1800s in Boston. He lost both his parents early on to disease, and then his adoptive father definitely didn't care for him. He was sent off to college. His original name, he was Edgar Poe, and then let me just make sure I got that right. Edgar Poe. So he was Edgar Poe. That was his original name, and then he added Allan, which was his adoptive name, which is kind of weird because I thought that was like a middle name, I didn't know that was another last name that wasn't applied to him. I don't know, because I always feel like when I hear Edgar Allan Poe, I think Allan's his middle name, but actually it is the last name of the family that adopted him after his real family died, like his parents died. So Edgar Allan Poe, which, I mean, it has a good ring to it, instead of Edgar Poe, Edgar Allan Poe. Anyway, I digress. So his new adoptive father hated his guts, thought he was like kind of a loser. I mean, and so he paid for school, but he didn't give him any additional funds. So poor Edgar, he had to figure out how to get around. So at one point he was burning furniture in his apartment just to get heat. He got into gambling, which apparently that will haunt him for the rest of his life because he wasn't a good gambler and he owed everybody a ton of money. He was an alcoholic. He married one of his cousins, his younger cousins. She died. Everybody, it seemed like if I could be so honest, a lot of his life, people tend to die on him. And so if you felt like his stuff was morbid, that's probably why. So I'm assuming that he had I'm just looking at his pictures, he had such a heavy depression that it came out in his work. And yeah, he was not having a good life. So he started writing for different papers around town and writing short stories and so forth. But at the same time, he used to do book reviews, which I didn't know. He was a book reviewer of other writers. Man, oh man, he was shrewd. He was like, if he didn't like the story, he basically would rip them to shreds, the individuals. And like some of the stuff, like I was watching a doc and they were talking about one writer that I haven't heard of ever, I guess because of Edgar Allan's review, he's just disappeared. He basically told him he wrote like a kid. So he was very shrewd at what he did. Like, I guess having such a hard life, he was just a shrewd personality. And he never had money. He was a heavy drinker, so he was always gambling and drinking. He was just not making any of the right decisions. So His death was also very mysterious. They found him unconscious, babbling, like not knowing what was going on, and somebody else's clothes. And then a few days later, he died. He was like, a lot had gone on. Nobody knows how he got to where they found him. Why was he in somebody else's clothes? What had happened to him prior? There's all these speculations that he, someone he owed money to found him, beat him up, and put him in other people's clothes. Or there was the one that I find very interesting is the one that said, the rumor that said he had been offered alcohol to dress up as somebody else to forge a voting for somebody else, and then after it happened and he drank and something, he became unconscious, and that's why he's wearing someone else's clothes. It's crazy. It's really crazy. His life sounded so, God, what a sad life. There was a lot of bad decisions made by him, a lot of just, wow. He really didn't make any money until after he died. That's when he became really popular, and that's when people started to notice him. Unfortunately, too late, you know. Yeah, I talk about it all in the podcast, so you can hear what I said about that. I love his writing. I have a few of his books. I'm a big fan of his. Theraven is one of my favorite poems. Yeah, it's just it's sad that, you know, life imitated art, or art imitated life, if you think about it. Unfortunately, he had a very sad life. Anyway, let me know what you think. Give us a thumbs up. Let me know if you're a fan of Edgar. If you're not, why. If you are a fan, what's your favorite short story or poem of his? And let me know in the comments how you feel. Please subscribe, please like, pass it around. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you'll be back for the next one, which the next podcast video idea is in the description as well. So go listen to that so you know what's coming up next. And thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.